Hello, you, and welcome back to the Voices of Vic podcast. I'm your host, Ben Ayton, and welcome back to episode 4 of our new series that we're calling Watford A to Z. Each week, we'll be taking you through the alphabet to discuss a Watford FC topic that's associated with the letter of the week. This week, the letter is D, and we'll take it in turns and giving you our Watford related topics. At the end of a podcast, we'll vote amongst ourselves as per on who we believe who has won this week's topic. If the vote ends on a tie, the host will have the deciding vote. Last week, I'm going to get this right this time. Last week, I messed up a little bit. Last week, Cam won with letter C with his topic, which was Chapvadasi is our best player. Generated some smashing topics on there. So if you haven't watched it already, go back and have a look at the episode 3, letter C. Probably our strongest week so far with categories. And after those scores of Cam winning last week, it takes the Voices of Vic scores from Mike 2, Cam 1, Ben 0, Caity 0, and Joe 0. So we've got a lot of work to do. Everyone else here who hasn't got off the mark yet. But joining me tonight is Caity and Mike. Let's just check in to see how both of them are doing tonight. Caity, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Excited for another episode. I feel like me and you, Ben, we need to pull out a win soon because we're slipping down already, and it's only letter D. Like we need to catch up. But yeah, I'm excited to see what other people have said for this one.
It's another good solid week, but I agree. We need to do something to pull it out of the bag here. We've both got very close. I got close on letter A. You got close on letter C, I believe. And it's been so close, and it's just been one vote it's turned it the other way. So hopefully tonight's one of our nights. But we are joined by Mike, who's obviously top of the leaderboard so far. Mike, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. I'm delighted to be doing one of these again. I really do like these features, so it just keeps it a bit fresh from talking about whether it's a win, a draw, or a loss. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and it helps obviously that I've won 2 of the 3, but you two have put in some brilliant topics as well. I mean, Caity that had that brilliant talk about Ben Foster's legacy. You give that good speech about away days as well, and a couple of things sort of hit home for me listening to that as well. So yeah, it's been a really, really strong feature so far. So long may it continue, and I'm sure it will today. And I'm really, really intrigued as to what everyone's gone for.
Yeah, no, definitely it is. Honestly, it's a really solid week here, and we've had lots of good feedback from some friends and family regarding the podcast as well. It's helping them reminisce about some of the topics that we've had, and if you haven't already, please do leave comments and retweets and quote tweets on Twitter and that, because we really do believe what we're doing at the moment is really good, and we're really enjoying it. It's really fun to make. So I think it's just getting that awareness out there of what we're actually doing in the podcast. If you don't mind retweeting the tweets or talking to your friends about it, say, you know what, Voices of Vic, have you listened to their new series A to Z? Just tell them about it, get them involved. And we're going to start some new things as well to get you guys involved more. We'll be starting to run some polls after the episodes as well, so you can vote on who you believe has got the best topic. And also we will ask you at the start of the day when we're about to record on what your letter topic would be. So say for next week, we'll put out a tweet saying, let us know what your letter E is. And then hopefully lots of you will get involved, and then we'll read them out on the show just to bring up that interaction from you guys. But yeah, really do appreciate all the likes and views that we've had so far. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you hit that like button, and also on Google podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, hit that like button or the bell button, and we'll let you know when Voices of Vic are uploading their latest episode of the A to Z. But yeah, unfortunately Cam and Joe couldn't make it this evening, but as always they have sent in some voice notes for their topics. There's some belting ones tonight, let me just say that. Cam won last week, so as tradition, the winner goes first. He has sent in a voice note, so we'll get that started. Mike, could you please hit that play button?
Morning, folks. It is 10:38. I have just woken up and I'm sending this voice note with a very hoarse throat, so excuse me for that. The D I've gone for Derby Day. It's a little bit topical at the moment. Obviously, we are the current victors in the Derby against those absolute bastards up the road, Luton Town. Little 2-0 win there. Now, there have been 6 derbies in my time supporting Watford. We had 2 in lockdown, which one was won 1-0, one was lost 1-0. We had the 2 in 22-23, that's right. We got a fantastic win that season, 4-0 at Vicarage Road, just to go and get, pumped 2-0 at the Kennel. So, yeah, there's a theme emerging here that we seem to beat them every time at the Vic and lose every time at the Kennel. And then take you to this season. You've got obviously a very underperforming Luton Town versus an overperforming Watford, and we go to their place and we get thumped 3-0, which that is honestly one of the worst days I've had supporting Watford. I was there and I want it out of my mind after this voice note. But then I'll take you back to a couple of weeks ago, Sunday, and we welcome Luton to the Vic, and they do not turn up whatsoever. They lose haplessly. We get a nice 2-0 win, and Luton at the time, were rooted to the bottom of the table, 5 points adrift. And honestly, that was one of the best days supporting Watford for a long time. And that's just what you get out of Derby Day. Everyone's up for it. There's an atmosphere, and at least at the Vic, the players are going to turn up for it. And, we may well get a result every time. So, yeah, it's a love-hate relationship with Derby Day for me, obviously. I can't stand Luton beating us. I cannot stand it. And I'm thinking of actually never going to Kenilworth Road again because I know they'll just beat us every time. But, yeah, interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on Derby Day, any memories, anything you want to say about how good Luton are this season. And that's my pick for the letter D.
Well, we're off to a flyer here. Derby Days strong from Cam, who won last week, so he's going in to try and get back-to-back victories. Good pitch, solid D as well. It's not great saying solid D, is it? But you know what I mean. Derby Day, Mike. Memories of Derby Days for you?
Do you know what? I've only ever been to one. Obviously, my old man never used to take me when I was younger because of the trouble and whatnot. So I've only ever been to one, and we drew 1-1 at the Vic. You might remember the game. I mean, Joe would definitely remember if he was there.
Marlon King?
Yes, Marlon King. And incidentally, that was the last time that Luton scored at the Vic. It was 2006. So, yeah, I saw that from a Luton Town account a couple of days after we beat them. So, yeah, it's been a while that they've not scored at the Vic. The only other team that I know has a record that bad at not scoring at the Vic is Birmingham City. So, yeah, in terms of personal memories being there, that would be the only one, a 1-1 draw. But, yeah, I think Three Counties sort of picked up on that, what Cam said. It is a game that really favours the home team in recent years. And, probably rightly so as well, because the atmosphere, you only have to look at the last, in fact, those games that, other than the lockdown games, those games that Cam mentions, I'm going to try and steer clear from paying too much respect to Luton here. But in all honesty, the home support in all the fixtures is unbelievable. So, that probably answers why the Derby Day fixtures are so competitive. But do you know what? I was toying with the idea of going for Derby Day myself.
Oh, wow.
You've been a lot better than them, albeit they had a season in the Premier League last season. But on the whole, it's mainly because we've been up in the Premier League and they've been down in the EFL. And that's a great problem to have. But it is, having grown up in Birmingham and seeing what it's like when Villa play Blues and not having that for your own team on a regular basis, it really, you do start to miss out. Like, not to steer away from our Derby day, but for an example, when Birmingham play Aston Villa, you know that is happening on that day. There's just a feel. You go out into the street for whatever reason, go to the shop or whatever. You have that feeling in the air that it's such a big game going on. So I'm incredibly jealous that we've not had as many as those have. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope there aren't too many in the respect of, I hope we go on to have many years more in the Premier League and they have many more years in the National League where they belong. But of course, it is always good. And if we can just tweak those away performances and get a win at Kenilworth Road, that really will be the icing on the cake. Because funnily enough, I think the last time we won there was probably that 2006 season as well, where I think we won 3-0 or 2-0. And I think one of our players got sent off as well. So, yeah, really good. Yeah, that's it. Really good pick to start with from Cam. So, bravo, Cam. Bravo.
I want to say it was a 2-0 away win, but I could be completely wrong.
I think it was 2-0.
And Darius Henderson got the goals. And then Ashley Young got sent off in the second half, I want to say. And we played in like an all-red kit.
Yeah, we did.
But back in those days, you couldn't stream these games. So I was young. I don't know how old I was, about 16. Had my first job at Tesco's. And I want to say I've just finished my shift. And I got home and I was listening on BBC Three Counties radio, listening to it. And I was nervous, even though I wasn't there. Because, Derby Day, Caity, is everything's riding on Derby Day. You're looking forward to it from Monday morning till Saturday afternoon. Like, everything depends on that result on Derby Day, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to sound like really bad of me, but I've actually never been to a Watford Luton game. None of the home games, like none of the away games. I've not been to any of them because they've just fallen when I've not been able to get home and stuff from like uni and stuff. And I know I've missed some really good games, but I still feel that nerves just watching from home. And yeah, we have had some great times at Vicarage Road and we have also had some losses at theirs. And I still think, though, a lot of Watford fans would say, especially in a season like now or recent ones, will say, we know we're not going to get playoffs. We know we're going to finish mid-table or wherever, but beat Luton and that makes the season successful. I mean, I think people look forward to those games because it would be awful to lose to them twice in one season and finish mid-table because it's a bit of like, the season didn't really achieve anything. But yes, I mean, this is a great one for D. I honestly would never have thought of this. But no, it's really good, and obviously it means a lot to us as Watford fans as well. It's quite special for us.
No, definitely. It's thinking outside the box for Cam, and that's what he did last week with his C for Chatford. He is our best player. So let's see how well this one manages to do. I've been to 3 Derby games, all at Vicarage Road. I know I'm a lot older than Mike. Well, not a lot older. He's actually the big 3-0 this year, turning 30 in June, I want to say.
It is, yes. Thanks for
yes. Only because he was telling me about the plans in Birmingham one evening. So it's penciled in my memory. But so I am 7 years older than Mike. And I've been to 3 Derby games, and it just shows that we just haven't played Luton enough, and that's down to the divisions that both teams have been in. And I would have absolutely loved it if we had more of like a rivalry like Cardiff and Swansea, where they play each other constantly, and it's like every season you're playing each other and you got that buzz. But it's been weird growing up for I imagine I can safely say all 3 of us really growing up and not really having that team that you play each season and that you absolutely hate. Luton was so far away from us, like we had to kind of start rivalries with Bournemouth because of the championship season, or Crystal Palace, or people don't like QPR. because Luton was like at the back of our memories, and that was like, no, don't worry about Luton. They're National League, or they're League Two, they're League One, but they've slowly climbed the divisions, and now they're relevant again. But I guess you ask people like your dad, Mike, and maybe have a totally different feeling towards maybe Luton Town.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that was a really good example, the Bournemouth one. A lot of people are like, why are Watford trying to force a rivalry with Bournemouth and that? And I think someone, I can't remember who it was now on Twitter, a few years ago when we were still in the Prem, they were saying that the rivalry between us and Bournemouth meant more to them than the rivalry between us and Luton, because we just don't play them enough. So, yeah, and like you say, for the older generation, they have the memories of playing Luton, and you know that season where we won 4-0 at Kenilworth Road, and you know, some really, really good memories there and some not so good memories. So yeah, extremely jealous, and who knows what the future's going to bring. Will we be divisions apart again? It certainly looks like we're going to be at least one come the end of the season. And we don't know when we'll next play them. And you always hope in the cup competitions, prior to us being in the same division again, like we have been for the last few now, you always hoped that the number that would be drawn out was Luton Town when Watford were drawn out of the cup, whether it be Carabao or FA Cup. So, yeah, let's see what happens going forward. But we really need to sort out the getting a win at Kenilworth Road, because that is long overdue. So.
No, definitely, and to be in at away end when you win at Kenilworth Road as well would be absolutely insane. Right, okay, so that's a solid start from Cam. Caity, I'm going to come to you next. What is D for you?
So D for me, I'm sticking with my goalkeeper thing, but I've gone for Daniel Bachmann for my team. So I've got some stuff that I'm gonna read out about him. So Bachmann first signed for Watford in August 2020 after leaving Stoke City. He was brought in as a backup keeper, but gradually did become more involved with the first team. During his first season at Watford, he was a backup keeper playing behind Ben Foster, who was our first choice at the time. In the 2021-2022 season, Foster left and Bachmann sort of stepped up to being first choice. And then that was in the Premier League. Then in the season after, he helped to secure promotion back to the Premier League. And he had some strong performances in the Championship. Despite some challenges, I would say that he has had some praise and he has been consistent. Maybe not in recent times, but maybe back when we were sort of in the Championship and through COVID. He has faced competition from a lot of different goalkeepers like Ben Foster and Hamer for the starting role. And he's currently sidelined with an injury and may be on his way out, with the new keeper Selvik joining in this January coming. Fans have mixed opinions on him becoming the club captain a few seasons ago, and his performances have continued to decline. He has a couple of attitude problems. I've seen him become a bit of a scandal in the team. I know I've got a couple. I'm just saying how it is. I mean, I know that you quite like him, Ben. You've sung his praise a lot, and I know that there are some things that spring to mind when I think of stuff that he's done. One thing that does stand out to me was that Luton away game when he dropped an absolute howler of a performance. He was saying how he refused to play because the pitch was really wet, and then obviously we went on to lose. That's something that really sticks to me. But I mean, what are your guys' memories of Dan Bachmann, good or negative? Ben,
Very
I'll come
good,
to you.
Caity. I like the research you've done on this one. I like how you've put it all together. Very good. Daniel Bachmann, yeah, like everyone knows, I've got a bit of a soft spot for him. I do think he's a decent goalkeeper, but he does have his issues, and I think me thinking that he's a decent keeper isn't enough. When you see that Igor Selvik came in and he's blown it out the park. He's been incredible, really good attitude, brilliant with his feet, good shot stopping abilities as well, and it's made me think that maybe the walls have been pulled over my eyes a little bit with Daniel Batman, thinking that he was the best thing since sliced bread, when really there was better options out there. But maybe that's me just not wanting to throw in the towel and admit that maybe with the majority instead of the minority. But I think he's had decent games. Obviously that Carling Cup game against Oxford United years ago was probably his best performance. Brilliant in the 90, brilliant saves in the penalty shootout. But yes, there is probably more howlers that come to mind when it comes to Daniel Batman. And I think his time at Watford has run its course. Obviously, I don't agree with him being given the club captaincy. I don't think that a goalkeeper should really be given a captain's armband. That's just my personal opinion. I just feel like an outfield player should have the armband, especially now when the rules are that only one player can approach the referee, and that's got to be your captain on the field. And you can't have Batman charging up the pitch, although he's tried it on many occasions to go up to speak to the referee, because he ends up getting booked for it. But obviously, the moment of madness of Daniel Batman that I think will live long in loads of people's memories for Watford fans is that sending off at home to Huddersfield Town. I did a match day vlog that day, and I'm glad I did a match day vlog, and I really appreciate Daniel Batman for that, because it brilliant figures we got on that. And I managed to capture his stupidity when he went to karate kick one of their players in the head. So he picked up a yellow card for arguing, and then he went in, and 30 seconds later he was marching down the tunnel, and it
that
was a
when
typical.
Hamza was in goal?
Yeah, he picked up. Yeah, Hamza picked up the goal. I think Batman threw his shirt on the floor, didn't he? And then
and he had to put it on.
yeah, Hamza Chowdhury ended up getting the goal. But yeah, that's the one. Britt Sombalonga scored that game as well, and he didn't score many goals for Watford. But yeah, brilliant topic. Daniel Batman. Mike, memories of Batman? I say memories of Batman. He's still a current Watford player, but what do you think of when you hear the name Daniel Batman, and like what's obviously stands out for negative and positives?
Mixed feelings, really. Like you've pointed out, me and Cam often say one of the best goalkeeping displays I have ever seen. That game against Oxford in the Carabao Cup in lockdown, like it was just unbelievable. And to be honest, that whole season. So in the lockdown season, I think we equalled the second best. Well, no, sorry, yeah, we equalled the best home defensive record in the whole of the Championship. So Preston were holding the record, and then we got the same amount. I think it was only conceded 15 at home all season. So I think he was one of the sort of leading sort of clean sheets in the league, I think, that lockdown season. But he was incredible that whole season, and so were the defence and the whole team, to be honest. And then you think about the not so great ones. I mean, you've between both of you, you've sort of reeled off the obvious ones. The Huddersfield one. You only got to look at this season, that first half against Leeds United at Ellen Road. And I think he's overstayed his welcome, to be honest. I think he is passionate. I have no doubts about that. But I think he portrays it in the wrong way. I think he can get too worked up. He can get in his own head. I think he was in goal against Luton in the lockdown season, and he absolutely lost his head when they had that penalty, to the point where I genuinely thought Luton might take this penalty against no goalkeeper, because he was walking off, and I thought he was going to walk off the pitch and not come back. And yeah, his head sometimes you sort of question why he does what he does. And I think now Selvic's doing a good enough job. Even when he is back, he'll have to play second fiddle, and he might go. So yeah, probably should have cashed in on that offer from Ajax or Man United or whoever wanted him a few seasons ago. But yeah, had some good times with Batman in goal. and had some not so good times. So, yeah, a good topic there.
No, fantastic. Really enjoyed that, Katie. Have you got anything further you wanted to add to Daniel Batman?
No, I think you guys have summed it up well. And obviously, I think if he left, obviously we wouldn't be sad that he was leaving, but he's been here for, 5 years now. He's been here for a while. Like Mike said, it's obvious that he cares about the club, and he showed his passion in the wrong ways, basically, and he did just lose his head a lot. And I'll never forget those performances that he put in, especially when it was like the COVID times. Our previous seasons in the Championship, he has been really solid. I just think, honestly, the downfall happened when he became the club captain. That first season when he was made captain, it was awful. He was just being booked every game, losing his head at every decision, and it was really poor from him. And I think for me, that's what sticks out more than the positives. But yeah, it's very mixed opinions, I think.
I think as well, just to add, Caity says he's been here for 5. A lot of people forget he's actually been here for 8. We signed him in 2017 from Stoke as a free agent, but he obviously didn't break through to start with. So that's why a lot of people think he's only been here for so long, because it took him a while to actually get his foot in the door. So, if he did stay, he'd be in the sort of same category as sort of Troy Deeney in terms of length of how long he's been at the club. And Ben mentioned about that game against Oxford, penalty saves, and for some reason in my head I always feel confident when the opposition get a penalty and Bachmann's in goal. But I've just had a look whilst Caity was doing a speech, and believe it or not, he's only saved 2 penalties for Watford. One was in lockdown against Rotherham when we won 4-1 at their place. And then one was last season when we drew 0-0 against Hull and Tufan had the penalty saved.
Oh, yeah.
But for some reason, I just thought he'd have got at least 5. But apparently only 2 of them. So, yeah, mixed reviews.
I know Ben Hamer saved a penalty away at Hull last year. Maybe we was thinking that maybe that was a Daniel Batman penalty save. But yeah, I would have thought put him down for more. But is that just Championship games then? Because obviously the Carling Cup game against Oxford, I guess it doesn't count penalty shootouts, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it counts penalty shootout. So I've got his record here. He's faced 30, which he hasn't saved, and he has saved 7, but 3 of those were at Stoke, 2 of those were at Kilmarnock. One of them was against Rangers, which is quite impressive, and then 2 for Watford, and that's all competitions. So he's faced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 for Watford in like non-penalty shootouts, and he's only saved 2. So quite bad, actually. But yeah, I thought it was a lot more.
The penalty he saved against Rangers, I think I watched it. It was on like BT Sport or TNT Sport, and it was against Jermaine Defoe, I want to say, and Kilmarnock. It was played on an Astros turf. It was a horrible pitch, but yeah, Rugby Park, I think it's called. But I would have imagined that he saved more. But I tell you, a goalkeeper who did save a lot of penalties, Aurelio Gomez. You'd always back him whenever
2 in one game
awarded against him. Yeah, 2 against West Brom away, wasn't it? The Hawthorns. Sadio Berahino, was it?
Yeah, he's just signed for a second-tier Slovakian team, by the way.
Oh, has he? What? Why do you know that?
I don't know. Go up on my Facebook.
Oh, absolutely love it. This is what we love about the Watford A to Z. Gets you on the topic of the Slovakian second division. Absolutely love it. But yeah, another solid category. Well done, Katie. Mike, going to come to you next because you're here. Joe's not. I'll go last this time. I am. Take us away, Mike, because you've gone for something different than what I would have expected you to go for.
Yeah, I know what a lot of people would have expected me to go for, but the D that I've gone for this week is Danny Graham. And why wouldn't it be? We signed him on the 2nd of July in 2009 from Carlisle. So a little bit of the unknown, you know, not a massive club, obviously, no disrespect to Carlisle, but not exactly a signing where you thought, oh, signed a striker from a big team there. All in all, he scored 41 goals in 98 appearances in all competitions. And that's 8 goals off having a ratio of a goal every 2 games. Honestly, what a striker he was. He was one of the best finishers I've seen at the Vic in my time. And, you know, for one example, the 2010-11 season, which I believe is the season in which he's wearing the kit that Ben has got the picture of there, he scored 27 in one season. In all comps, obviously, not just in the league, but that is phenomenal. And I just picked out a couple of goals, really, which stood out for me. I think first game of the season, we'd signed, you've often heard the story about Troy Deeney signing. We played Norwich on the Friday night. I think we opened the season that season. 1-3-2 at Carrow Road. And that man got 2 of them, I think. I think Eustace scored and then Graham got 2. But it was a brilliant move, him and Sordell, and what a partnership that was, by the way, often combining for a lot of goals. Graham flicked it round the corner for Sordell. Sordell was on the same wavelength as him, 1-2, 1-on-1, and Danny Graham slotted it in the back of the net. And up until Matty Vidra, he's really the only player that I can really remember, you know, in terms of gunning down 1-on-1, you sort of knew where the ball was going to end up with Danny Graham. And that's why I say Matty Vidra, because he was the next player where you thought, okay, 1-on-1, there's a goal coming here. Middlesbrough at home, that was his 7th of the season in that 2010-11 season. And he stayed aware and alert and latched onto a terrible back pass from their goalkeeper. And I think this one, so my memory isn't this great, so I have actually watched these clips recently. I'm not doing what Joe does and plucks it out and tells you what he had for breakfast that day and tells you where he was when this goal went in. But what I love about that is because we lack that. We have lacked that so much in recent years. All it is the Middlesbrough defender thought, right, I'll go back here. And Danny Graham, playing on the shoulder, he's alert, he gets the ball, rounds the keeper and puts it in the back of the net. I think the last time I saw Vacuum Bio take it round the keeper and try and put it in an empty net was that 1-1 game against Cardiff where he ended up missing and then scoring a harder chance a couple of seasons ago. So that probably tells you why that impressed me, because boy, oh boy, would we be laughing for a striker like that right now. And then the third goal I sort of picked out. Obviously, there's so many to choose from, and I think Ben will remember this one because he was there. That famous victory at Loftus Road when we were the first. I don't know if it was the only team as well, but we were definitely the first team to win at Loftus Road that season. 3-0. The ball come in, and instead of absolutely putting his foot through it and wellying it, he was so cute with his finish. The ball comes in and he just taps it. He runs near post and he taps it. Paddy Kenny is just stood sort of starfished in the middle of the goal because he's seen this ball come in. He's expecting someone to absolutely welly it because they just want to hit and hope. But Danny Graham's like, nah, no chance. I'm being really clever about this finish. And put the ball in the back of the net. And no doubt, Ben, you would have enjoyed the celebrations for that one that night as well. And he again, I think he scored maybe. Did he get 2 that night as well? I want to say he did actually, because the third goal they all thought he was offside, but again, Graham played till the final whistle, and then we sold him for 3.5 million to Swansea, who at the time of that signing was their club record signing. Absolutely distraught when he went. But I think we all knew deep down that Graham was going to go because he was absolutely phenomenal. So for this bloke that come from Carlisle with sort of very, I think it's fair to say sort of little hope on his shoulders, see what we can get out of him. To get what we did was absolutely superb, and he went on to have a fantastic career. So, my pick, Danny Graham.
We've not had not done too bad with strikers from Carlisle. Do you remember another striker who came from Carlisle? Scored at Wembley.
Oh yeah, bloody hell, Alan Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Alan
yeah.
Smart. So yeah, we've had a decent couple of strikers who have came down from, I want to say Boundary Park, is it?
Oh, is that Oldham?
No, that's Oldham. We're gonna have to Google this whilst we're on air now. I can't believe I've done that. But yeah, Danny Graham, great pick. Yeah, I remember that QPR away game. He ran over to the QPR fans and he was getting pelted by coins in that corner and bottles, and they was trying to usher him away. But yeah, Danny Graham, he was only going to get a big money move at the end of that season after 27 goals. Tried to replace him. Did we really replace him with maybe Troy Deeney? Was he maybe the next striker who came through the door? Was it Joe Garner that came through? Do you remember the time, Mike?
Yeah, well, because I have to try and be careful now not to mix it up with when Sordell left, because obviously him and Sordell were absolutely on fire. But we brought in Joe Garner on Joe Garner played because on deadline day in the Jan, we sold Sordell and it didn't work for Garner. Deeney might have been the replacement, but we didn't quite think he was going to do what he did for the club. But I mean, Deeney's never scored 27 in one season. So in terms of did we replace him, probably I'll probably get some pelters for this, but probably not at the time.
No.
But yeah, he was just to have a player like that in his pomp was remarkable. Like you just felt so much more confident. And the thing is, you often get players where they'll do really well at one club, they'll go elsewhere, have a few more moves, and it sort of dies down for him. It was quite the opposite for Graham. He was still scoring goals as recent as like 3 years ago. I remember he scored against Man United in the FA Cup for Blackburn Rovers, I think it was. And, you know, it always put a smile on me, on my face, whenever I saw Graham's name pop up when he'd scored for someone after he'd left Watford. He was one of those that you sort of kept an eye on his career. And I think he's one of those ambassadors at the club now. They've got a few ex-players, and I'm sure he's one of them. And he's someone that we not to give you too much of a peek behind the curtain here, but he's someone that we have tried to get on here as a guest, because he'd be unbelievable to speak to, because one of the best strikers and one of the best finishers, as I mentioned, in my time as a Watford fan.
No, definitely. The home ground of Carlisle United is Brunton Park.
Yes.
For anyone that's interested, and their manager at the moment is actually Mark Hughes. So he's got a battle of trying to keep them in the division as they try and stay in League Two. But yeah, 3.2 million. Did you say he left Watford for to Swansea? That's a lot of money back then. That's a big transfer for him, and obviously Sordell picked up a big transfer fee and a big money move to Bolton Wanderers as well. And that was at the time where Watford we had to sell to survive at those times. I think administration was on the cards many a times, so we had to sell to survive. And I remember we didn't want to lose Danny Graham as fans, but we knew that he had to move on, and I think he knew that he had to move on for the best of the football club. Obviously, we was just a mid-table team at that point. We weren't pushing on, even though he got 27 goals. We weren't knocking on the door of the championship playoffs. We was probably mid-table or bottom half of the table, just surviving. Yeah, same as you. Thoroughly enjoyed watching him perform in the Premier League with Swansea City. Went on and had a decent career at Blackburn Rovers as well. But yeah, really, really good guy. And I don't know if any of you remember him being the table tennis king at Vicarage Road as well.
Yes. Just to go back on what you said there, in terms of we weren't really knocking on the door for anything. We finished 14th that season, and we scored 77 goals that season. QPR, who won the league, only scored 71. I think the the top scorers in that season were Norwich with 83, but to score 77 and be in the bottom half of the table, that was like a country mile clear of anyone else. So yeah, it just sort of highlighted how good of a job he did. So yeah.
And do you know who he had behind him in the midfield in this shirt, this era?
I want to say Don Caity was
Yeah.
one of them, or was he? Yeah, Don Caity.
For everyone who's watching, it's the Joma shirt with Evolution HD TV on the front as a sponsor. Bit of like a black trim down the sides. Obviously yellow Watford shirt, but yeah.
That stumped me. Don Caity, I remember because he was great. Scott Severin, he was there at the time. He was another good one from Scotland. Aberdeen.
There was 2 youngsters on loan. Maybe one's a head coach at Watford.
Oh bloody hell! Come on, Mike.
Skinhead at that time, I think.
Tom
maybe.
Cleverley. Yeah. Can't believe I've missed that one. Henry Lansbury, was he at the club at the same time as well? He was. Yeah.
Yep. Henry Lansbury as well. Those 2 were brilliant. There was a cut above everyone else, and it was like these were proper Premier League players coming in on loan from Arsenal and Manchester United, and it was like, wow, the caliber of youngsters coming through the door here was absolutely incredible. So very good D, Mike. Caity, I know this is probably well before your time of supporting Watford. What's your favourite memory of Danny Graham? Favourite goal?
Yeah, it was way before my time. I'm sure if you asked my dad, he could probably say a lot about him. I feel like I've recognised people speaking about him, and I'm sure he's probably been spoken about the Vic and stuff, but yeah, not a lot of memories that I can really think of.
He was
Makes me feel old.
As much as a fan favourite he was, fans really took to him, and I think on the last home game of the season, everyone created, because Danny Graham, whenever he scored, he had like a vest underneath with maybe a message on. So for the last game of the season, he encouraged fans, or I think it was actually something created from Rookery End podcast, because they was the only Watford podcast back then. They created the Danny Graham Day, and they encouraged everyone to bring a white vest to the game and write a message on it. And I actually created one as well, and I don't know what I had. I think I just had Graham 10 on it. But yeah, it was really good to see all the togetherness from the supporters, all showing our love towards Danny Graham, because he was a really decent lad and a really top footballer as well. So no, fair play, Mike. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't expecting you to do this. I was expecting you to go down another route. I was expecting all of you to go down that route as well, and none of you selected it.
For me, for me personally, I would choose that one for T. But we have had surnames, like you went Britos a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And went Chaptadadze. I suppose it's personal preference, but I suppose it's too obvious as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. It would be maybe. It might be a little bit obvious for you to come up with that category. Yes. Okay, perfect. So let's go for the next category. Yeah, I guess you never guess what Joe's gone for. Mike, could you hit that button, please?
Yes.
So my D is Scott Duxbury. I think it's fair to say that we've had an entertaining time at Watford FC with Duxbury being at the top. We've been, I think, gaslighted and blindsided by a lot over the years, and one name that springs to mind that we'll all obviously know is Rob Edwards. I think from all the talk that Duxbury said that it was a him appointment, that Gino was fully behind him and coming in, and everyone was excited by the appointment, being a young English manager and a change of kind of philosophy. Duxbury's integrity was completely undermined, I think, quite quickly, and it was quite apparent that Potso's didn't actually trust what he'd done in his appointment, and I think that kind of then goes to Tom Cleverley. I mean, everyone obviously loves Tom Cleverley. We all loved Edwards, didn't we? I mean, at the beginning, let's be honest, it was tough at first, but ultimately I didn't have a bad word to say about him. We knew things were going to take time. And I think that's where the concern came, where Duxbury came out and quickly backed Tom Cleverley. You know, we'd heard it before. And to me, we still don't know what's going to happen with Tom Cleverley at the end of the season. But again, Duxbury's come out, given his backing, and we know Do Not Scratch Your Eyes did an interview, and I think it's fair to say a lot of it was hot air. Duxbury has an awful lot to say at times, and I think a lot of it ultimately is a bit drivel. Unfortunately, I don't trust the man. I couldn't trust him as far as I can throw him, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, I think for me, I don't really agree with a lot that's gone on at the club. Nothing's been fully said at times, so we don't really understand what's gone on at the top. But I know that through what we've seen in managerial appointments, changes, players coming and going, and I think from what players have said that there's ultimately been things wrong there. And yeah, I just don't think Duxbury's a man that we can trust at Watford FC. And I really do hope that Tom stays beyond this season, regardless of what Duxbury said. I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? I think it is safe to say he's a person that I think a lot of Watford fans, along with Gino Pozzo, would love to kind of see the back of. I think figures that were released with regards to his wage and stuff, I appreciate that obviously there's time that needs to be taken there in changes and a drop, but you know, the geezer's sitting at the top taking a lot of money and probably laughing through doing pretty much sod all. But yeah, so that's my D. Scott Duxbury, a man that I really hope at some point, along with Gino Pozzo, does leave the club and we can get fresh people in at the top and take the club forward.
So that was Joe's D. D is for Scott Duxbury. He's a character that's probably very difficult to trust amongst Watford fans, with some of his phrases that he's used in the past, especially with all the backing that he said he was going to give Rob Edwards and also Tom Cleverley. He doesn't seem very trustworthy. He's obviously had a very difficult past with West Ham as well, which has followed him. They don't think of him very highly. And I say the same with Gino. It's Watford fans probably appreciate what he did at the very start, but he's kind of outstayed his welcome now, like Gino Pozzo. Caity, what's your take on Scott Duxbury? And by the way, fantastic topic by Joe here.
Yeah, it's a really good topic, I think, as well. I mean, they've all been really good. They've all been very Watford-based as well. I think, you know, Duxbury is a main focal point of Watford, and especially in the recent years with the manager issues and, you know, having no money and this and that. Like, it's a really good topic. I do think, obviously, everything that Joe said was really, really valid. He has spread a lot of lies. He's done a lot of public speaking to, you know, Do Not Scratch Your Eyes, and he's been at all the sort of fan forums at the club. Obviously, it is about what you can take. Everything he says, you do take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I think it's all about just backing Tom now in the position that we're in, and that's all we just want from him. And Tom has, you know, he's openly said Duxbury is the one supporting me, and I think I honestly don't think Duxbury is the main root of the issues at Watford. I think it goes even higher than that. But yeah, no, it's a really good topic, and it's very suitable to now.
No, definitely. Mike, what's your take on Duxbury, or have you got any positive moments of Duxbury being associated with Watford, or negatives that come to mind?
Yeah, I spoke to him. That's about as much positive. When
Oh,
we
we
got
both spoke to him, didn't we?
yeah
I even forgot I did that.
yeah when we got access from the club, me and Ben got to speak to we got to ask a question each to Duxbury. I think I asked him about the model of Udinese and Watford and how they work and how the player trading sort of what they look for, etc. But yeah, I think he's obviously it's a difficult one to gauge because a lot of people, don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. And I think based on what he said before, it's hard to really back him up at times, isn't it? So I have no doubt that he does care for the football club, but I also think that he's getting paid a lot of money. So if a football club was paying me the wage that he gets, I think I'd probably care as well. And I think he tries too hard about saying, "Oh, well, I am a supporter of this football club, etc., etc." But yeah, I think it might have been good at the start, and we have had some great times under this ownership and the sort of structure of the board as it is. But yeah, I think it's evident now that it is time for change, or it's time for fresh reinvestment. And yeah, he's definitely one that sort of outstayed his welcome, I think. So I think Joe put it perfectly. I don't think there's too much to add. And yeah, a great topic from Joe tonight. And yeah, some really good topics. I'm looking forward to your one now, Ben.
Yeah, no pressure, eh? I've got to try and pull it out of the bag here. But yeah, 4 really good topics so far. A quick recap of everyone so far. So Cam's gone for Derby Days, Caity's gone for Daniel Batman, Mike's gone for Danny Graham, Joe's gone for Scott Duxbury, and I've actually gone for Troy Deeney. And I purely went for Troy Deeney because no one else went for Troy, and I thought, I can't believe no one's gone for Troy. I have to go for Deeney here. And Mike was trying to be clever by leaving it till last minute by keeping it for T. But no, I've had to sneak in there because I think we might get some pelters from some listeners going D for Deeney. So I've had to get in there. So I haven't prepared much for Troy this time. I'd probably going more freestyle tonight. Last couple of weeks I've been able to write something, but I've just got a few notes on Troy tonight. So firstly, captain, leader, legend. I know he's probably came out and said a few things to maybe bad mouth the football club, but you can't fault the effort and desire and commitment that he put into wearing that badge and wearing that football shirt. And he is the reason why we were probably so successful, from getting out of the Championship to staying in the Premiership. His goals meant so much to so many Watford fans, and we'll forever remember that Deeney goal against Leicester City in the playoffs. But there's more to Troy than just that Leicester goal. Like, he's probably sick and tired of people coming up to him and going, the Leicester goal, there's more to his game than that. And that's what Watford fans have missed from losing Troy and having strikers afterwards, because they've not filled that gap. They've not filled that hole that Troy's left behind. He ended up scoring 3 back-to-back season in the Championship, 20 goals. He's the first striker to do that for Watford, to score 20 goals in 3 back-to-back seasons in the Championship. He is Watford's 4th most goals, highest goal scorers in all competitions, behind Luther Blissett, Tommy Barnett, and Ross Jenkins. He scored 140 goals for Watford in 419 appearances. And what's also impressive for me as well with Troy is, yes, he scored a lot of goals with 140 to his names, but he's got 62 assists to his name as well. And I don't think many people would put 62 assists to his name. I don't think you would really remember that, but you got to cast your mind back to those championships games where he was assisting Vidra, Forestieri, the partnership with him and Igalo. They were brilliant in the championship and premiership. He probably would have wanted to pick an extra goal up at Old Trafford, but him and Igalo fell out that evening, didn't he? Where Igalo, I don't know, Igalo's a massive United fan, isn't he? And he wanted to score at Old Trafford, but he kind of laid it on a plate to Troy. And yeah, Troy will forever hold that against him. But yeah, the leadership on the pitch, like he would chase down every single loose ball. It doesn't matter if the ball was going out of play, he would chase it down, and he would knock someone into row A, row B, and he was absolutely fantastic. So many brilliant goals that he scored. He actually scored his first career hat trick for Watford as well in the 6-1 victory over Bournemouth. In the championship, he's scored numerous penalties. I've never seen a guy strike a ball like he does for penalties, and if anything, I think he kind of started something here by hitting it with power down the goalkeeper's throats, and you've seen lots of people copy him since, because yeah, you would not stand in the way of a Troy Deeney penalty. And the comments that he's made on the pitch and off the pitch, like he just says how it is, and that's what you've got to respect about Troy. He doesn't hide behind things. Even if you don't agree with it, he will always speak his mind, and I do appreciate that of Troy. And that he is, I just love him. And I know he's came out and said some bad stuff about Watford, but we don't truly know what's all happened behind the scenes, do we? Because we've not been involved in conversations. But what I will say is that he does love this football club. He's even said that this is his club now. I know he's not been welcomed back by Gino and Scott back to Vicarage Road in recent seasons, but he does truly love this football club. And I imagine once they've both departed Watford, he would be the first one to come back to say hello to the fans and thank the fans for everything they've given him, and it'll be our time to thank him for everything he's given us on the pitch as well. So yeah, Troy Deeney is my D. What I want to know from you two is favourite goals of Troy's, favourite memories. There's so many. For me, let's not do the Leicester game as favourite goals, because that's easy to go to. What would your favourite goals be? Caity, I'll come to you first.
I mean, Troy Deeney, he just is Watford. And I think when I was growing up, obviously he was like the main man, and he was the main reason that I like fell in love with football and Watford. He was my favourite player. He was just everything. And even, I felt like when he even left on a good note. Like, we turned around and we said, look, we're on a high now. I'll use Leicester as an example because I've obviously know quite a lot about it. Jamie Vardy's been there for too long now. He should have left probably, last season or season before, and he'll probably retire at the end of this season, but he's going to retire on a sour note because they're going to get relegated. And like my boyfriend Tom, he talks about it so much. He's like, he should have just left. He should have gone. I feel like Deeney left he left on a good note. He got us that Premier League and he left. And he was able to go on and keep playing football and then keep his career going and everything. I mean, there's so many memories about it. I mean, for me, maybe the penalty, the Wolves in the FA Cup semi-final, that was really, really good. But every game, you always could trust him to score goals, penalties, everything. And I just think that for me, when I think of Watford, I think of Troy Deeney. But if you ask anyone else, they think Troy Deeney. And yeah, he's a character. Yeah, he's got this, he's done this. And I know recently he's obviously come out and he said stuff and whatever, but that's just Troy. That's just how he is. And sometimes you just have to go, all right, like exaggeration, like just move on. But yeah, he was the reason that I loved Watford. Him and Igalu, that duo was just like amazing. And I remember because that was when I really started to get into football. And then I remember I used to think we were like the best team in the world, and then we downgraded so hard. And I was saying to my dad, I used to be like, what happened to us? Like, I thought we were good. But yeah, so he is, he's just Watford.
Yeah, we've watched him grow from a boy to a man, haven't we, Mike? Like seeing Troy's evolve. Like obviously, it was a difficult period when he first came to Watford. He joined for £500,000 from Walsall. It's a lot of money back then. I think he went from £1,600 a week to £6,000 a week. So it's a lot of money for a guy who grew up in Birmingham. And the money was raised from Elton John's concert, wasn't it, at Vicarage Road as well? Because we had no money, so we had to raise the funds. And look, if you could sign someone and they turn out to be someone like that off the back of raising funds, and that's the perfect signing, really, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
Eventually, it didn't happen overnight, obviously.
No. Well, I said that when we were talking about Graham. Did we buy, because we bought him that season that Graham had such a great season with the 27 goals. We bought him, and again, was it another punt? Thinking, okay, let's see. This lad's obviously got a little bit about him. Let's see what he can do. And yeah, he went on to etch his name forevermore into Watford history. And yeah, I mean, Troy that season that you've got on the screen there was phenomenal. And for those that are listening as a podcast, it's the promotion season in 14-15. He was just different gravy that season.
Unplayable.
But yeah, I could sit and do another hour just talking about Troy. Like I could actually do a podcast purely on Troy. He's, I think it always resonated with me because of where he's from, and yeah, it was just great at the time to have the captain of your football team absolutely smashing it, and he just happens to be from the same, from the same place as you. So yeah, it always made me sort of proud as punch. And look, we all know Troy likes to exaggerate on stories and sort of add a few things in for dramatic effect. But that's Troy, as Caity said. That's the Troy that we all love. One of my favourite goals always will be Aston Villa. You can count both of them. You can count the one where we lost 2-1, although that wasn't too memorable in the end. And then the one where we won 3-2 in the first season back in the Prem, 15-16 season. I was at both of those games. I was sat in the Holt ends, the main Villa stand, when Troy scored right in front of me, and he come and celebrated right in front of where I was sat. And I was like 3 rows from the front, just sort of sat there like, okay, act normal. Whilst everyone around me, that is the worst abuse I've heard a footballer get ever. But he's a blue nose and he always loves scoring against Villa. So, yeah, really, really good memories of Troy. And yeah, for me, that's a great topic. And yeah, I think we know how this one's going to go tonight.
Well, we don't know. Votes haven't been casted fully yet. We're still waiting for Joe to cast his vote in a WhatsApp group. But yeah, one of my favourite goals as well was Charlton away for Troy. What a goal that was! He scored some pelting goals, and you just think of him like he's a big man. He only scores like headers or tap-ins, but he could score some decent goals. He actually won a goal of a season in one of his first couple of years at Watford, and don't even remember, Mike, it was at home to Ipswich Town.
Yeah, scored a similar goal against West Ham in the Premier League.
Yeah, West Ham away where we won 4-2. It was 2-0 down and turned it around. But he's just the leader and a great example, and he really rallies the troops and he gets them going, gets the players up for a fight. And he did the same for the fans as well. And defenders hated playing against him, especially in the Championship. They did not like it. And he competed well in the Premier League as well. And some might say he was unlucky not to warrant a England cap as well when he was on his top form. And I think that was purely down to his past and why he didn't, because at that point, he was probably one of the better England strikers up there, and it was just the same England strikers getting in that squad all the time, and they didn't want to give a cap to Troy Deeney. And look, if Jay Bothroyd could get an England cap and David Nugent could get an England cap, why couldn't Troy Deeney get an England cap? Because he fully deserved it for what he provided for Watford in the Premier League. But yeah, what a fantastic guy, and I absolutely love him. And I know this is our dream still, Mike, to get him on the podcast. And I imagine we will at some point, whether that's in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, we will get him on the podcast and we'll have our own like 2-3 hour episode with him. And I can imagine you will absolutely love that. So that's the dream anyway. But yeah, that's all our categories in now. We would absolutely love to know your categories as well. And this is why next week we will put out a tweet before we record the next episode, and we'll say, please let us know what your category is for letter E, and then we'll read them out during the show at probably this point, saying, oh, and bloody blah said this and bloody blah said that. So we would love to get you guys involved. But yeah, as we haven't done that for this week, you've just got our 5 categories. So I'll just go through them all again. So we have done, Cam has done D is for Derby days. Katie's done D is for Daniel Batman. Mike's done D for Danny Graham. Joe's done D for Scott Duxbury, and I've gone D for Troy Deeney. Joe might not be able to cast his vote at the moment because he hasn't replied. So at the moment, Cam has casted his vote and he's actually gone for Troy Deeney. So I am 1-0 up. And remember, everyone, I can't vote for myself. So I hope I'm not in another situation where votes are tied, but I've got to go elsewhere. But I don't want to try and influence anyone. But Caity, where's your vote heading to tonight? Another fantastic episode, lots of strong contenders. Where's your vote heading to tonight?
Yeah, I think they were all really strong. I think I was torn between Derby Day and Deeney, but I am going to go for Deeney. I just think that he's Watford. Like, this is Watford A to Z, and the one thing that is Watford is Deeney. So for me, that's why I think it should win.
11 years of commitment from Troy Deeney, and hopefully he helps me get my first win in the A to Z. But thank you very much, Caity. Mike, where's your vote heading to tonight?
Yeah, 3-0, Ben. Troy. It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be. I mean, as Caity said, he is Mr. Watford. So, yeah, Troy, 3-0 to Ben.
Fantastic. Joe's just casted his vote. He's actually gone for Derby days. And that's where my vote would have gone for as well tonight. So it would have ended 3-2. So I've won for tonight's Watford A to Z, letter D, which I'm delighted about. I've finally got my first win of the season. I am off the bottom. I'm not down there with Caity and Joe now. I'm up there.
Oh,
mid-table with
rub it in.
Not down there with you, Caity.
I'm not down there with you and Joe no more. So yeah, I'm into mid-table, which I'm happy about. Got my eyes on Mike. Me and Cam, we're going to catch you, mate. But yeah, hopefully, Cam, Caity and Joe, it won't take them too long for them to get off the marks. But yeah, thank you for joining us again tonight. I really do appreciate it. It's been another great episode, and yeah, apologies for it being very long tonight as well. It's almost an hour and 10, so I'll look to wrap it up now. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will be back next week with letter E. So yeah, get thinking for your letter E's. Let us know on our tweet next week when we post about it. Mike, did you want to say something quickly?
No, sorry. I put the microphone to my mouth as if I was going to. Other than I am going to win letter E next week because I've already got it, and yeah, no one's coming close. So
this is what you've done already. You've gone through the alphabet, haven't you? And you've like put down your.
No, I've got to E, and yeah, not thought about anything. I already know your F, but yeah, E. I've got F. Yeah, well, we'll see when we record it, and I'll guarantee.
I don't know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow, mate. Let alone what's going for B for E or F. But if you know what my F is, please let me know. But yeah, no, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, get involved in the comments. We'd love to see what you guys have put. And yeah, instead of stay safe, take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Come on, you horns. I'm useless at this bit. Apologies, everyone. Take 2. Take care, everyone. We'll see you.